Welcome back to another episode of the Ball First Podcast. Today is episode 3. Today, I will be doing my World Cup predictions alongside my friend here, Junior.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excited
All
to do
right.
this.
Yes, sir, of course. All right, so today we'll be going over our group stage predictions. Going to be answering, a couple of common questions like Golden Boot, and, we'll go through the knockout stages and we'll see who we have winning as the champions. And, yeah, so we'll get started. I just want to say, Junior, I know we're recording this a little late at night, so how was your day?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Went to
Anything?
work,
Yeah,
met up
sorry,
with a
go.
couple clients,
Yeah, okay.
stuff like that.
All right, don't mean to interrupt, but let's just get straight into the football talk. Are you excited for this World Cup? And can
Of
introduce yourself
course.
to the viewers a little bit more? Let them know who you're representing in this nation for your nation in the World Cup.
Yeah. So my name is Junior, like you mentioned earlier. Um, the team I will be presenting at the World Cup will be Mexico. Obviously, I'm gonna be playing. I'm gonna be a big part in their contribution to the World Cup. I like to think about it as in I'm the 12th man of this team.
Sir, of course, of course. I'll be right there alongside with you. Maybe I'll be the 13th man. And I hate to get this on the cam, but if you could scoot right to the little bit for me, scoot a little bit to the right. Yeah, you're kind of the way I have you set up. All right, that's better. All right, so what are the most things you're excited for this World Cup? Is there a certain nation that you feel might go a long way? A little storyline you might want to go. Maybe Ronaldo catches Messi. Reignites that goat debate. What are your predictions?
The GOAT's already been debated, settled. I think Brazil will be that nation that I will be supporting alongside Mexico. I'm excited to see what Brazil can do, especially with Neymar. Hopefully, Neymar takes on that leader role instead of being that main guy role. Now, with all the youngsters that he's had and everything like that, I hope he can, go in there and give a little bit of mentorship to these players.
All right, so okay, as long I know you said you're representing Mexico. Obviously, I know that you're a Barcelona fan, but can you just explain to the viewers how you became a Barcelona fan and how are we even friends? With me wearing the Madrid kit.
I became a Barcelona fan in 2014 after my sister's husband introduced me to the team. He showed me a game, and he basically showed me that there's a difference, a different world to soccer. Instead of national team, ever since I was a little kid, I've always grown up around Mexico and the national team. But when he showed me Barca, I really fell in love with the players and then just the atmosphere alone because it was a different type of soccer. It was fast paced, it was structured, it was just something, enjoyable that I could watch without having to wait for Mexico to come back through international break or just tournaments alone. I was able to, support a team throughout the year, and I was able to, be part of that.
Okay, and I'm not sure I really introduced myself, because so far the first two episodes of Ball First, been mainly basketball. I've introduced myself as a Mavericks fan, but I just wanna show the fans, the viewers, how I became introduced to the Madrid fandom. And so me and Junior, we're both adults, but we've been friends since childhood. And I just want to say that one time we decided to play FIFA 15, I believe, 15, right? FIFA 15
Correct.
together, and he chose Barca, and I just chose Real Madrid, and ever since then, just it's been amazing supporting the greatest club in the world, supporting the real GOAT, Ronaldo. But yeah, man. So we'll hop into this group stage real quick. I'm gonna switch the scene over to my screen. Unfortunately, I won't really be able to capture Junior's screen, but we'll both, he'll debate his with mine. So I'm gonna switch over to group stages right here real quick. All right. So for Group A, who do you have, Junior? Who do you have topping Group A?
Mexico, and then second place I have South Korea, almost said North. And then I have Czechia, and then I have South Africa. Um, just a little bit of breakdown on what I chose here. The reason I chose Mexico number one is obviously they're hosting and they're playing at home. Ever since Mexico's played in Mexico, they have not lost. South Korea, I think they have the quality and then the leadership with Hyunmin Son. I think that the youngsters that they have around him will help him, advance. Czechia, I like, but I'm not super confident just because they don't have a lot of quality, but they do have some stars on their team. And then South Africa, I think those two there, third and fourth, it could be, either or. Honestly, I think South Africa is a decent nation, but I just like I said, I don't think they have anything, super, super like a big name or anybody that can take them to that next step.
Really agree with you on that one, Junior. I think we were perfect, and having the same teams. I have Mexico topping the group, like you said. We're the host nation. We will be having the opening ceremony game, and it's just great to play, in your home country, and we'll get later on into the knockout stages. But hypothetically, a lot of these games that they will continue to play throughout the knockout stages will also be in Mexico. That also plays a really big part. Having your home nation, having your fans right there beside you. In second place, I also have the Korea Republic or South Korea as well. I think you made a great point with the leadership with Heung Min Sun, and I think that they have some quality there. I feel like Mexico and Korea are the two 1 and 2, or very clear 1 and 2. And like you said, I feel like Czechia. I have Czechia also as well, third, and South Africa fourth for me. I feel like Czechia. They're a decent team. They have a nice quality. I feel like more of their star players are more midfielder and more defense. I don't know if they have the attacking firepower, to score goals. And I feel like they could probably steal a point maybe off Mexico. I feel like Mexico will sweep the group, and or maybe they're still a point off Korea Republic. But for me, South Africa, I just don't see it at all. I know the storyline is there from 2010 whenever they had the opening goal on us. Was Shibalala. He had the opening goal. The iconic celebration. But I just don't think they have it no more. And so yeah, for Group B, I'll start us off with
You
Group
want to
B.
try something real quick? See if we can. I can share my screen with you, and we can take a
Yeah,
look at what I have as well.
yeah. All right, and we're back. Had a little bit of an intermission there, working on the screens. Here's my screen right here. Then we got Junior's screen right there. Sorry for a little bit of the, might not look the best cropped, but just trying my best. This is episode 3. Promised by episode 100, we gonna have it on lock. Maybe even a studio, but no promises. All right, so for me, I have Switzerland top in the group. I have Canada coming in second, Bosnia in third, and Qatar in fourth. For me, I just think Qatar, we saw last World Cup, even as a home country. I know Afif's a really good dribbler, and that's about all I know on the Qatar squad. Respectfully, I know they won the Asia Cup, but I just don't think they have what it takes, to snatch any points off these other countries. And going on to Bosnia, I feel like this would have been really nice. I don't know if y'all watched the game with the Bosnia and Italy qualifier. That was a very great, very electric game. I believe it went to penalties, but that was a very good game. And I think for me, my unk of the tournament, I think it'll be Edin Dzeko. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't think I have Bosnia going through to the knockouts. But, I feel like with this group, I feel like there's no defense that really stands out to me. I know Alfonso Davies is injured for the Canadian squad. So I just think Edin Dzeko can really show, bag a couple of goals. And I think he'll show that, Unk still got it. Canada, I know they're one of the host nations. I just don't think they have the technical quality to beat Switzerland. And, yeah. So for me, Switzerland's top of the group. And for you, Junior, I'm on your
Yeah, I
screen.
got,
So
so as you can see, a little bit of the same, but I think Qatar does take it over Bosnia just because I think Qatar has the quality and just the experience as a team. Bosnia, they do have quality. They do have, some star players, some no names, but I think Qatar is on that same almost similar level as Canada. They played in some of those tournaments with Mexico, Canada, and the US, and they haven't performed terribly. I think it's one of those, kind of iffy teams where they could be bad, but they could be good at sometimes. Obviously, at their host World Cup, they didn't do so great, but I think coming to the U.S. and I think having just the freedom of competing with Canada and Bosnia, I think they could snag a couple of points there.
all right, do you want to start off with Group C, or would you like for me to start off?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start off. Number one, I took on Morocco.
A little bit of a
Just slowly
bomba
based
right
off.
there. Okay, continue.
Yeah,
Let me.
just slowly based off the fact that they went to the semifinals, they have the experience, they have really good players, especially with Hakimi, and if they bring in those other players they had previously, I think they can go pretty far. They're a really really good nation, and I think they have some of the quality to take them forward. Brazil number two, I think the reason I put Brazil two is because I don't know if they can beat Morocco, but they do have quality. And like I said, it just depending on how Neymar wants to play the World Cup. If he wants to be a leader and if he wants to take charge, I think he can take Brazil very very far. But if he still wants to be that main man, take all the chances and everything like that, I think Brazil struggle a little bit. They will struggle a little bit as well just to find their rhythm because he is coming back. We haven't seen him at a super super high level, but he is just that player that could play at that high level. Number three, Scotland, just slowly based off the fact that they're not super strong, but they have some players, that can help them out and stuff like that. And then number four, Haiti. That's just self-explanatory. I don't think that they're super, super good. They made it, but I don't think they have the quality to compete with any of those three teams there.
Really agree with your right there, and you, Junior. Here we'll jump into my screen. We're basically same. I'll start off at the bottom. Haiti, really not much to say there. I believe it's their first World Cup, maybe their second. Just I think they're just there for the vibes. Getting to play one of the most well-known nations when it comes to football. In Brazil, just the Haitians just need to enjoy their time. I'm going on to Scotland. I believe they are very. I feel like I can relate them to Czechia. I feel like they're more of a defensive-minded team. I don't know if they really have that attacking fire quality, to be able to score on the Moroccos and score on the Brazils. And so that's why I put them third. I do have them as one of my teams qualifying for the next round, I believe, and so we'll see that. But Morocco, for me, I think Brazil is just too good. I think their attacking firepower, like I've been saying. I know attack isn't all that there is, but that Brazilian attack is just crazy. With Vinicius Junior, the supposed to be Ballon d'Or winner a couple years ago, and then Rafinha, who I believe, as a Madrid fan, I do believe he had a very good chance at winning last year. Especially for me over Lamine Yamal. But yeah, I just think their defense hasn't been the best. They don't. I know they have Gabriel, but I don't think it's the best that we've seen. Even from last World Cup or the iconic 2014 World Cup. So I believe. I think Morocco can take it. I believe that. I think that game will be a draw. I just think Brazil will top the goal or top the group based on goal difference, and so that's why I have Brazil going first and Morocco second. Moving on to Group D. I know, Junior, I saw your screen. I didn't want to. I'll let you explain, but we have complete bombas. I know you can't see my screen, but I have Turkey first. I have Turkey topping the group. I have USA coming in second, Paraguay coming in third, and Australia fourth. Australia, I just don't think they have what it takes. I feel like this is also a very underrated group. I wouldn't say it's the group of death, but I do have it as a very tough group, for all three or for all four nations. Paraguay, I know I've seen them play in CONCACAF, against the USA, against Canada, against Mexico. I know they have that quality. I just don't think they have what it takes. I feel like USA, with it being their technical home tournament. I just think they take it, man. I think all three host nations will do pretty good. Bro, what are you laughing at? Uh, but for me, Turkey, I maybe might be a little bit biased with Arda Güler, but I think that Arda Güler and that Kenan Yildiz pairing will really show out this World Cup, and I think they'll put the world on notice. For me, they are my dark horse. I have them going somewhat far in the tournament. We'll see once we get to the knockout stages. But here to explain, Junior. Moving on to your screen.
So a little bit about my group, Group D. The reason I put Paraguay first, it just really depends. If I can show you really quickly, this will be the if Paraguay's star player is not. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. If Paraguay's top player, let me go back to the group stage here.
Yeah, put the go up, press the down. No, 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 no. Press the down arrow right there. Up, right. Click that. Right there. There
Okay,
we go. There we
perfect.
go.
So right here.
But if you want, just
So
open up a new tab or something. If you want to open up and see Paraguay's top player. But
so Paraguay, as you guys can see really quickly, I've looked it up already. He recently got injured. Now he is one of their best players, and I believe he is the best player Paraguay have. If he plays in the World Cup, I think they have a very, very strong chance of topping the group, if not being second. If he doesn't play, I do see Paraguay being third. Turkey, the reason it's just so I don't think the U.S. will drop points slowly based off the quality of players that they have. Obviously, they don't have a very strong leader nor coach, but the player quality they have is very, very good. Especially with a lot of them playing in Europe, especially like big divisions, Serie A, Premier League, playing really, 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 really competitive soccer. So that's why I have it like that. But honestly, this group is very, very, very difficult to predict just based off the fact that they're all pretty much on the same level, with the exception of Turkey. They have the stars, but I don't think they have a leader. The stars will put the map, like put them note, like they will be noticed. Obviously, Arda Güler is already noticed at Madrid, and then Yoda is already noticed at Juventus. But I think that they lack leadership, so I don't think that they will go far.
so maybe not trying to roast or anything, but do you think is Hakan Çalhanoğlu not playing? I feel like he could be a great leader, but I also know he's getting up
Honest,
there in age. He's getting up there in age, and you very well could be right. I don't know how often he could be on the pitch and be that leader. Maybe it's his Tony Cruz farewell with Germany in the Euros, but can you care to expand on that?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I just don't think they have the leadership. Yes, he is getting up there in age, and he has played for a long time, but I don't think it's mentorship that they have. I don't think it's leadership. Obviously, he comes with a lot of experience, But yet again, the World Cup is so difficult to predict, especially in this group because, like I said, USA have great players. Paraguay, like I said, have two really good players. One of them is injured, so we will have to wait and see on that. But I think Turkey really, really lacks on that more of a complete team rather than just two stars, two young kids that they're hoping will get them, to the place they want to be.
Okay, so just confirm you have USA first. Final predictions: USA first, Turkey second, Paraguay
So
third.
final, yeah, final prediction will be USA first, Turkey second, Paraguay third, and Australia fourth.
Okay, now moving on to Group E.
Yeah, so Group E, I'm just gonna after these first four groups, I'm just gonna run through them, real quickly. That way we're not wasting up a lot of time because we still have to get through
Knockouts.
the the knockouts and everything like that. So Group E, pretty self-explanatory. First Germany, second Ecuador, and then third Cote d'Ivoire. I don't really know how to say that. And then number four, Uruguay. Group F, Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, and then Tunisia. So if you want to go off that, whatever, however you want to go, I think we have similar, if not a little different. But I think the Group F is one of the hardest groups as well. Netherlands number one, just because they have the experience, they have the players, they have the youngsters, so they have squad depth. Japan is really good. And I think they take games over Sweden and Tunisia, but I think they draw to the Netherlands, if not lose to them. I think the Netherlands is very, very strong. Germany is also very strong. Ecuador's up and rising, so they have some stars, they have some leaders and stuff like that. Those are just self-explanatory groups. Group G, Belgium and then Egypt. Belgium, obviously, because they have the leaders, they have some players, some really really good midfield options, and then some attack. Egypt, self-explanatory, Mo Salah, and then Iran. It could either be between Iran or Egypt in second place, just because they have similar qualities. New Zealand is number four, just because they're not super strong. Group H: Spain, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, and then Cabo Verde. Spain, obviously number one. I have them winning the World Cup. Uruguay number two. They have quality. They have players. They can go out there and dominate, especially against Saudi Arabia and Cabo Verde.
All right. Yeah. So switching over to mine. Not much changes here, Junior. I agree with you on a lot of it. We have Group F through H, all completely the same. I think you really hit the nail with the Netherlands. I think Japan's a very fun team that everybody wants to watch, and I know they might be a dark horse for a lot of people, but like you said, I don't know if they have that experience. I just think that the Netherlands take it. I feel like they're too deep, and yeah. But for me, the one Bumba that we switched, I have Germany finishing second. I have Ecuador first and Cote d'Ivoire third in that group. So just the switch of the one and the two. For me, I feel like Germany going into this World Cup, I don't think the vibes are very well. Going into them, um, I feel like just that Ecuador is on the come up. I know Ender Valencia is getting old, but I feel like they're an up and coming nation. Seeing them play, I don't know. I have that feeling. Not that it's a crazy upset, but for me, I feel like they'll top the group. And agree with you on everything else. The only thing I don't agree with you on, I do not have Spain winning the World Cup. I will get to my World Cup winners here in a second. But yeah, I think Group G, very weak group. I feel like Belgium should probably get the most points there. To be honest, I think Egypt's they have good attacking quality. Marmouche, yeah, Mohamed Salah, like you said, but I don't think it's enough for Belgium, especially with Thibaut Courtois in it. So yeah, I do have Belgium sweeping that group actually. In Spain, Uruguay, I feel like this could be a good matchup. I think Spain's too strong. I know Lamine Yamal might miss that game. I don't know, but we'll see whenever he comes back. But yeah, I do also have Spain topping that group. Moving on to the next four, the last four, matter of fact, Group I, who I have as a group of death. France, Senegal, Norway, and Iraq. Quite literally the group of death with the last nation, Iraq. But no, I think they're very, very big storylines here. We have France versus Norway, Mbappe versus Holland. I think that's going to be one of the most exciting matchups to watch. I do think France is going to win. Ultimately, I don't think Norway has the firepower to compete with France. France, that front three, that attacking is just too good, and even their midfield options and their defense are really well. I don't think I don't think they'll lose to Norway. I think it will. I think Holland will score though, but yeah, I have Senegal coming in second. I know we'll get to yours here in a second. I'll rush through all four of these real quick. But yeah, so just confirm I have France first, Senegal second, Norway third, and Iraq fourth. For Group J, defending champions, as much as I hate to say it, Lionel Messi and his group of men, coming into the World Cup as defending champions. This is their crown to defend. I personally don't think they'll do it. but I do have them topping the group. I feel like this is a fairly easy group. Algeria may be really their only competition. Austria, I just don't think. I think they're getting up there in age. So yeah, and then Jordan, like they're also one of those nations that just they're just here to have fun, just here to enjoy it. For Group K, for here is who I have my World Cup winners. Call it biased, but I truly believe that Portugal can win the World Cup. I don't really see. I think as long as Ronaldo, although he's my favorite player, I think he needs to understand that he's no longer the number one option on this team. I feel like he should take the subs the be a super sub, and I think if he's willing to take that super sub role, which I don't know if he will, he has a very big ego, but if he's willing to take that super sub role, I think that they can make it far, especially with that midfield. I have Colombia coming in second, Congo in third, and Uzbekistan fourth. Not really much else to say for those two through to four. Maybe Colombia might put up a good fight with Portugal, but I think Portugal takes it. And then for Group L, who I know a lot of people also consider the group of death, I have England first, Ghana second, and Croatia third, and Panama fourth. Panama, another one of those nations, that I've seen them play in CONCACAF, and they're a decent nation. I just think they don't have the firepower to keep up with these other three. For Croatia, I feel like the old guard's getting old. We have the Lukita Modric's, we have the Perisic's. I think they're just getting too old, and I don't know if they could keep up with these nations. England first, obviously, but like England is also a very favorite to win the World Cup. I don't think they will, but yeah, Ghana coming in second, and switching over to junior screen here. Let me see.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean a lot of the similar stuff, but I do have Norway second over Senegal just because Odegaard and Holland, they are very, 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 very good. And then they do have some other players in there that help out a lot. I think Norway will take away, especially against. I think they tie Senegal, they beat Iraq, and then they lose to France. I think Senegal uh, ties to Iraq, and then they tie to Norway, and then they lose to France. Iraq loses all four, or they'll tie. But I think it's very, very, very close. Senegal is good, but like I said, I don't think I personally don't think that they're solid enough to compete. Group J similar, but I have Jordan third and then Austria fourth, just because I feel like Jordan has better quality. Austria does have players, especially with David Alaba and stuff like that, but I think Jordan has more quality. As in youngsters and just they're more hungry. I would say than Austria. Group K, Portugal number one, Colombia number two, Congo third, and then Uzbekistan fourth. England, Group L is my group of death with England, Ghana, and Croatia. Honestly, I don't even think Croatia makes it out of the whatever it is to the third round teams or whatever. Honestly, think they lose that stuff too. But I did make them. I did have them qualify, but like I said, I don't think they're good enough just because of the all the um old age that they have.
All right, yeah. So moving on to the third place teams. You want to go over yours?
Yeah, so third place teams, I haven't even finished these, but so I have Croatia, Senegal, Iran, and then Sweden, Paraguay, Czechia or Czechia or whatever, Scotland, and then Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll move on to my third place teams. Let's see, is it on my screen? I believe it is. Yeah. All right. So I have Croatia, Norway, Cote d'Ivoire, Sweden, Czechia, Scotland, Saudi Arabia, and Bosnia. Herzegovina. Don't mean to butcher that name, but yeah, those are my third place teams. I'll start us off with the knockouts. Oh well, wait, right, great. My knockouts didn't save. So we'll go through these. I'll go through them really quickly. I have Ecuador beating Scotland. I have France beating Sweden. I'm sorry, Canada beating Korea. I have Morocco beating Netherlands, which I feel like will be one of the most electric matches of the first round of the knockouts. I have Colombia being no, switching there. I have Ghana beating Colombia. I have Spain beating Algeria. Turkey beating Bosnia. Like I said, I feel like they're my dark horse that I have. I have Belgium beating Czechia. Brazil beating Japan. Germany beating Senegal. Mexico beating Saudi Arabia. England beating Norway. Argentina beating Uruguay. USA beating Egypt. I have Cote d'Ivoire beating Switzerland, and then Portugal. That's my first round. I don't know if you want to go over your first round, Junior.
Yeah, so I have Germany beating Scotland, France beating Paraguay, Korea beating Canada, Brazil beating the Netherlands, Colombia beating Ghana, Spain beating Algeria, the USA losing to Sweden, Belgium beating Czechia, Morocco beating Japan, Ecuador beating Norway, Mexico beating Saudi Arabia, England beating Senegal, Argentina beating Uruguay, Turkey beating Egypt, Switzerland beating Iran, Portugal beating Croatia.
All right, you want to go over your next? I believe this is round of 16 now.
Yeah, round of 16. So I have France beating Germany. I have Brazil beating Korea. I have Spain beating Colombia. I have Sweden, or actually, let's come back to this. Let's come back to this game because this is very, very difficult here to call. I have Morocco beating Ecuador. I have Mexico beating England. Yes, Mexico will beat England. Mexico City Stadium. If Mexico plays England, Mexico would dominate England in Mexico City. Argentina beating Turkey, and then Portugal beating Switzerland. So back to the Sweden and Belgium game. This is a very close game because they're both similar nations, but I think Belgium takes it just based off the fact that they have quality midfield. So that's my take there.
Yeah, I really agree with you with a lot of that stuff there, Junior. So, I'll go over mine for my round of 16 matchups. Starting here at the very top, I have France beating Ecuador. I have Morocco beating Canada. I feel like Canada doesn't have the firepower to play against Morocco. I feel like Morocco is a very strong side. Is Spain beating Ghana? I feel like Ghana's Cinderella run, I guess you could call it, ends here. Spain just too strong of a nation. Turkey beating Belgium for me. Turkey, like I said, being my dark horse, making it to the quarterfinals. I'm not sure if that's ever been done for them before, but like I said, I feel like these young guys put them on the map. Brazil beating Germany, a rematch of the iconic 7-1 from the 2014 World Cup. I feel like that's the first World Cup that I can remember. And I went back and I looked at the score sheet, not too long ago. I didn't realize that Brazil didn't score their first goal until like the 90th minute. And I just vividly remember saying Brazil can still come back, not realizing it was the 90th minute that they scored and they were not scoring 7 goals. But yeah, just very iconic World Cup for me. And right there, Junior, I think you said it great. I feel like Mexico playing in the Estadio Azteca, I think they would defeat England. Although England is, kind of one of my teams that I'm a little bit rooting for. I think if they do come up against Mexico, I feel like if there's any chance for Mexico to go far in the World Cup, I think it is this World Cup. I think, being able to have these home games, it was two on the group stage, one in the round of 32 and one in the round of 16. Like I said, bro, this is Mexico's time, to put the world on the map. I feel like Gilberto Mora will be, for me, he's my young player of the tournament. I feel like, I'm not sure if he'll start all the games. I feel like maybe throughout the group stages, they'll start to realize and they'll start him. I think, he'll really be a difference maker for us. Then moving on, Argentina beating the US. USA doesn't have what it takes, sadly. And then Portugal beating Argentina, setting up one of the most anticipated matches of this century. I know it's not a World Cup final. I know it's not what we wanted, but Argentina versus Portugal, Lionel Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo. Whether you like it or not, no matter where it is, this is the most anticipated game ever. But yeah, you want to do your quarterfinals, or yeah, do your
Yeah, so
quarterfinals.
quarterfinals, France versus Brazil. I think this is a great game. Just to show quality of both Mbappe and Vinny. But I think honestly, I think Vinny helps Brazil take it over France. I think Vinny scores a wonderful goal assisted by Neymar. I think they score a winning goal either super late, super late in the game, or just right there, right before the game ends, maybe in the 75th minute, 80th minute, something that gives them like a breathing room. Just something like super historical, just because France is just a super big and just crazy nation to play against. But I think Brazil takes it. Spain beats Belgium. That's super easy. And then I think Mexico beats Morocco here in Miami. The reason I say this is because I think Mexico makes it to the semifinals, but they lose to either, Portugal or Argentina, just because I have Argentina going through. But honestly, I wouldn't mind whoever goes through. Obviously, if Portugal win, people will be like, oh, Ronaldo this, Ronaldo that. But at the end of the day, Ronaldo doesn't have the World Cup. Messi does. So whoever takes it, takes it. But I think Argentina will go through just because they have the experience and they have the quality. I think they dominate that Portugal midfield with their midfield. And then just going on to the semifinals, I have Spain beating Brazil, and then I have Argentina beating Mexico. I think this is where Mexico ends their story in the semifinals in Atlanta. It is sad to see, but I think the Mexican national team and just the Mexican fans themselves, they will be happy with the performance because we made it to the semifinals and we beat out two really good teams, especially with England and Morocco. Argentina is just too good of a too good of a team just to beat. I don't think Mexico makes it past the semifinals. I think they make it to the semifinals. Another one, Dallas Stadium. This game will be crazy here in Dallas. Brazil versus Spain. Lamine Yamal in my hometown of Dallas. I think Lamine Yamal helps Spain score 2 goals over his idol Neymar. I think at the end of the game, they embrace each other, they hug each other, and they swap jerseys. That's my take on that. And then I have Spain winning the World Cup.
All right, wow. A couple of little bit of bombas here and there. I'll go over I'll finish off my predictions here. So starting off for my quarterfinal matchup, the first one, I have France defeating Morocco. I know Morocco's a very great nation, but for me, France, they're just too strong, and they're just too strong. I think France takes it there. A very good matchup there as well. Spain versus Turkey, like I said, Turkey was my dark horse. I don't think they'll make it any further. Spain's also just too strong. I don't know if it'll be a beatdown. Definitely won't be a close match. For me, I also have Mexico making it to the semifinals. Call it bias, call it delusion, call it what you want. I think after winning, making it past the curse game, or I guess the round of 16 in this case, making it past the round of 16, will really take, a chip off the Mexican players' shoulders. And yeah, I think defeating England will just bring so much momentum, and I do have them defeating Brazil. Although Vinicius is my favorite player, I just don't think they have what it takes. I feel like the squad is just not there all the way. I feel like Neymar is getting up there in age, and I don't know if they can rally around behind Neymar the same way Argentina did with Messi in 2022. So, and I think the momentum coming off, I just think Mexico will be too much to handle for Brazil. And then for me, the most anticipated matchup, Argentina versus Portugal. For me, Junior, just gotta point out something crazy you said. For me, I think that Portuguese midfield is one of the best that we've ever seen.
It is
And for
very
me,
solid, but I
um,
think I think at the end of the day, the experience comes down a lot, especially in the World Cup, late stages. I think Argentina's midfield will have something for that, crazy midfield that Portugal have. Obviously, with the two players coming off a Champions League victory with João Neves and Vitinha, I think they're both great. They have crazy qualities. But I think what lets them down is Bruno at the top, being selfish, being just ignorant. I think he will personally let that youngster of a dominate that two-headed monster of a midfield just collapse. I think Argentina's midfield is very, very solid, and then especially if they're fighting for Messi, if we've seen it before, we will see it again every time from now on. They will fight for that man until the game's over. They will fight, 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 and then they have the backups to come in. They have the quality to come back in and change the game. I don't think Portugal has any quality. Obviously, I don't watch Portugal like that, but I don't think they have quality for just to get a sub in, to have that same quality of midfield.
Yeah, I think we'll see. This matchup is just over a month away. Instead of today being June 9th, I feel like this matchup, if it were to go to the quarterfinals, if both teams make it this far, I feel like this would be one of the most anticipated matchups. I definitely will not be working that day. Maybe me and Junior can host a little watch party, maybe a little live stream or something. Because for this is our two goats right there, and just for me, I do think you pointed out a great point. Like you said, Vitinha and João Neves, this is their first World Cup, I believe. Maybe Vitinha played last World Cup, but he didn't start. So yeah, like you said, I think the uh, the experience will really show. But for me, I just think Portugal has what it takes. I think they can think. Actually, never mind, never mind. No, no, no. I'm sticking what I gotta say. I do think Ronaldo's ego won't let him come off the bench this game, or maybe Messi starts on the bench and so does Ronaldo, and then they come off in the 70, come on in the 60th, 70th minute. But yeah, I just think Portugal takes it here, and then like you said, for your Argentina's case, for my Portugal case, I do think this is where Mexico Cinderella run ends. I don't think they have what it takes. Even with all the momentum, I do think Portugal is a better nation than Brazil. This World Cup, so I do think it will be harder to beat them. So I do have Portugal making it to the World Cup final. And then for my other semifinal matchup, France versus Spain, Lamine Yamal versus Kylian Mbappe. Um, I do think this is also going to be a very anticipated matchup. We put so much emphasis on Ronaldo versus Messi, on Argentina versus Portugal, and the other semifinal matchup won't be as good. I feel like Portugal will not necessarily put a beat down to Mexico, but definitely won't be a too competitive game. But this one right here, I feel like this could also be game of the tournament. This one being in Dallas Stadium, I feel like this would be a great game to watch. If the funds somehow arise and I get tickets, I will be attending, but not looking too good. This will be on my dad's birthday, so nice little birthday gift for my dad, being able to watch two of the best football nations. For me, I do have friends taking it. I feel like their defense is too good. Well, not too good, but I feel like their defense is better than Spain. I don't think Spain's attack is. Oyarzabal is getting old. Lamine Yamal, I feel like Lamine Yamal will show that he's been player of the tournament. He's not my player of the tournament. Yo, what happened? You think I'm crazy? You think I'm crazy?
Yeah, I think it's crazy that you say that the defense because last time I checked, Spain beat France with Mbappe, with their starting defenses. Spain beat them. I think coming into this tournament, I think Spain have nothing to lose. I think France have everything to lose because it's like, oh wow, they made it to back-to-back finals. Mbappe lost the final. Mbappe has been on a losing streak ever since. Obviously, he plays different for the World Cup. He plays different for France. But I think that the midfield that Spain have will dominate anything that France brings them. I'm telling you right now, that attack that France have will not get them far in this World Cup because of ego. Every single person that's in that attack has an ego, and Mbappe has the biggest of them all. Mbappe will bring that team down himself.
I do think you make a great point right there. I feel like Kylian Mbappe's been on a horrible patch of form right now. Leaving PSG and PSG winning back-to-back Champions Leagues, and even before he joined Madrid, us winning two out of the three. Yeah, like you said, I do think he's been on a patch of losing streaks. But for me, I do have him on my jersey right here. I don't know if you can see it. He's on the back of my jersey. And as much as I talk bad about Kylian Mbappe, I do think he puts the world on notice again. Like you said, this guy is, he's going to continue to show. I think Lamine Yamal, I don't think it's his time just yet. Lamine Yamal, I feel like, in all seriousness, I do think he can end his career as the GOAT if he continues to play the way that he has. I just don't think it's his time now. I feel like it's the same thing with Victor Wembanyama. I do think he'll win the chip this year, but at the end of the day, it's still not his time yet, you know. And so that's how I feel with Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal will get his, either whether that being 2028 or 2030 or 2034. Lamine Yamal will get his because he will be in this league for a very long time. I do have France beating them though. And then in the World Cup final, New York versus, or I'm sorry, France versus Portugal, I do have my GOAT, Cristiano Ronaldo, taking it. Call it bias, call it delusion, like I said earlier. I just think they have what it takes. I feel like that midfield will really rally behind Ronaldo, and I just think all this is very dependent on whether or not Ronaldo takes that super sub role. I don't think he's just too old. And seeing him play in Saudi Arabia, I know the Saudi Arabian competition is not what it is. They're not what they make it seem. I think he needs to understand that he is a super sub and he is not this main guy no more. He needs to step back, give the young players a chance, and I think they will. They won't let him down. If he lets them take control, they won't let him down. And so with that, I have Portugal winning for my golden boot. I do think I do have Mbappe coming out the top as a golden boot winner. Very basic answer, but I do have France going all the way to the World Cup final, and I do think he's the best and the one to score the most goals out of him, Dembele and Olise. So yeah, that's my golden boot, my golden player. It's crazy to say. I do have Bruno Fernandes. I do think they will go goal based off goals and assists, and with Bruno Fernandes being the cam, I do have Bruno Fernandes being I won't say that. I feel like Vitinha and Jean Neves won't get the praise that they would, and so I think they have to give it to somebody who scores, who has those goals and assists. And I do think that will be Bruno Fernandes. And as much as I would like for it to be Ronaldo, like I said, I think this is very dependent on whether or not he comes off the bench, and I don't think he wins golden player off the bench. And then yeah, for best goalkeeper, I have Mike Magnan. Like I said, they're gonna make it very far, and I do think he has a great defense in front of him. With Koundé, Saliba, Konate, Upamecano, whoever they decide to start. So yeah, for your golden boot, Junior, what do you have?
It's gonna be crazy to say, but I believe Ferran Torres will put the world on a wow. I think he will fight and fight and fight for goals to stay at Barcelona, to show Barcelona that he can be that number nine that they're looking for, somebody who presses, somebody who scores goals. I think he will, just fight for every ball. I think he's somebody who, is hungry for the goals, is hungry to stay at Barcelona. So I think he will try and put on a show. I mean, just for the player of the tournament, I think Lamine Yamal will take it just because of his quality, and I think that by the end of the tournament, he will end up with either 13 or 14 assists. And then I believe he will end up with either 8 or 9 goals, just because he is just that good. Um, like I said, he will finish the tournament with being the best player, being the most valued player in all of soccer. He's just too good to just not give him that credit.
Oh wow, I think that's crazy, Junior, for you to say. I just looked it up right now, did a quick little fact check. Um, Fontaine of France holds the record for most goals at a FIFA World Cup, scoring 13, and that record still stands. I have no idea how you have Lamine Yamal getting that many goals and assists, but like you said, I do think he maybe you just didn't understand, but fair enough. I do think he will show out though. For me, like I said, I do think Lamine Yamal is the best player in the world. I do think he's
I
on
think
trajectory to
Spain,
become the GOAT.
I believe
Junior.
Spain will dominate in the group stage. I think that's where most of the Lamine Jamal assists will come. I think that they beat each team with 3 goals. I think they take each team with 3 goals, if not more. If we look at their group, they really have nothing to lose. Uruguay, maybe they have 2 goals, but Saudi Arabia, I think they end up scoring five. Capo Verde, I think they end up scoring five again. I think Lamine Yamal gets 3 assists in each one of those games. Uruguay maybe 1 assist. That's already 7 assists there.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I think the delusion is starting to show for both of us. Me having both of us having Mexico, going to the semifinals. Me having my goat Ronaldo winning the World Cup, and you having Ferran Torres. For like, but this is what football's all about. Having these very polarized opinions. And then, did you have a best young player of the tournament?
I did. I indeed did.
Who was it, bro? Yo, your mic's
You
muddy.
ready?
Oh yeah, go.
No, it's
Okay, go.
not.
Okay, go. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, his name is Brian Gutierrez. He plays for Mexico. I believe he will take it, if not Obed Vargas. I think Gilberto Mora already got his recognition, but I think Obed Vargas will take that young player of the tournament, especially if Mexico goes far, because he will be that number 6. He will be that defensive player that will help Mexico stay in the World Cup.
Yeah, I do very, very much agree with you, Junior. And do you mind ending the screen share for me real quick, just so we can end this podcast off, both of us talking? Oh, stream has ended. Oh, crap. All right, never mind. I'm about to end it right here. Oh, hold on. Maybe I can do this. I'll do this real quick. All right. Looking a little funny right now. You're a little stretched res with little black bars, but it's cool. All right, so just ending the podcast off. This was a 40-minute episode, I believe. And so yeah, very great talk here with my homie Junior. We'll come back to this. Maybe we'll record another episode in person or something. Ending our World Cup predictions and seeing who is right. So yeah, just to end it off, just to confirm, I have Portugal winning the tournament, and he has Spain winning the tournament. But yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, ball first.